This is a very common question for methods 1s. So it's either sketching a hyperbola or a truncus usually. This is from the 2016 methods exam 1. So let's get straight into it. It says sketch the graph of f. We're going to be labeling axes intercepts with coordinates and label any asymptotes with appropriate equation. So now that we've identified these things, we can get straight into it. First thing we notice is we have these two asymptotes here. So we're going to have a horizontal asymptote here at y equals 2. So let's write that down. And then next, we're going to have an asymptote not at -1, but at 1. And the reason why is because of what I like to call the non-zero constraint. So essentially, because if the denominator equals 0, this graph will be undefined, we have to go x minus 1 is not equal to 0. And after some very basic transposition, we realize that x cannot equal 1. So we're going to put this asymptote in here, and that will award us our first mark for labeling our first two asymptotes. Now, what we have to do is we need the shape. So it's going to be a positive hyperbola. Now, the way that I remember how these look is if you look at a linear line that's positive typically goes through these two quadrants here. Now, a linear line that's negative, contrarily, goes this way, and it goes through these two quadrants. So what this means for us is for a positive hyperbola, the shape will look something like passing through this quadrant and this quadrant. So we get the shape looking like this. Now, as we can tell, and I don't want to have the overlap there because you will lose a mark for that. You do not need these arrows here. That's more of an option sort of thing. Now, we are going to check our intercepts and we are going to label the coordinates. If we do not label the coordinates, we will not get the marks. So let's go f of 0, which will equal 2 plus 3 on -1, which is actually the same as 2 minus 3. So when x equals 0, y equals -1. So that was actually quite convenient. I placed it there. I promise I haven't done this question yet. And then to get the other asymptote, the other intercept, we're going to let f of x equal 0. So I'll do it here. We'll go let f of x equals 0. 0 equals 2 plus 3 on x minus 1. Now we're going to go minus 2 equals 3 on x minus 1. Minus 2x plus 2 equals 3. And we'll finish it off by going minus 2x equals 1. X equals minus a half. So x equals minus a half when y equals 0. That's actually pretty accurate as well. Minus a half and 0. Now, I would even recommend not sketching the shape of this graph until you've actually found out your intercepts, because in an exam, you might have to redraw the shape, and that's just an extra amount of time that you don't want to waste. Because if you drew the shape, for example, like this, it's not technically right because you've already been given your scale. So just be mindful of that in exam conditions, and we want to be training the way we play. So realistically, I should have done that too. The other thing we cannot forget, because they've called it f of x, we can too. Y equals f of x. Just want to do this technical thing. Very, very simple, very easy. And this was a 3-mark question. We have asymptotes, we have intercepts, we have coordinates. This is going to get all 3 marks. So I'm going to give it a triple tick.